This is Sizzle, powered by Fit to Be Trained, coming to you from the Deep End Network Broadcast Studios in the lovely Virginia Beach, Virginia, the United States of America. Do you want to be part of the 30-day or 60-day transformation? Contact Karen, aka Sizzle, on any of her social media platforms at Fit to Be Trained. Here's your host of Sizzle, Karen Dougherty.
Are you okay there?
Yes. My phone survived.
Friday. I thought that sounded like a phone. Happy Friday. How are you?
Happy Friday.
Oh, I'm just kind of set way far back. Let me get up closer. Sorry about that. The weeks go by so fast. It feels like I was just here. This week went so fast. It was a good week, though. Did you have a good week?
It's almost St. Patrick's Day.
I know. My son's birthday is on St. Patty's Day.
My grandfather's birthday. Wow.
Yeah. Are you Irish at all? So
yeah.
It's very
sure.
celebratory. My father's birthday is on St. Patty's Day. I purposely tried to have my son on St. Patty's Day because my date was like around it. So I succeeded. So my boy, he loves it too. He's like, wow, it's like everybody's in a good mood and they're just partying.
Oh, everybody loves it.
I know. And I'm like, and it's all for you, son. It's all for you. You're welcome. But yes, the days are marching on. Spring is on its way, and it's even kind of given us some previews here in Virginia Beach, which is nice. We had kind of a tough winter. I don't like whining too much because I have clients that are in the Midwest. Jersey got pounded just recently, so we did pretty good, but it was cold, wasn't it? I mean,
it looks like the Northeast is going to get a lot more rain this weekend, I believe. I saw.
I thought it was supposed to be warmer than it is right now, so I was.
Yeah, today they said it was going to be like the last 2 days, and then kind of have this unexpected chill in the air. And when I checked the temperatures, they're about 10 to 15 degrees lower than what I think they thought.
I know, right? So wherever you're tuning in from, I hope you are enjoying your day, preparing for spring. It's daylight savings weekend, so that always helps. Yep. That helps you kind of get your head in the game. And as a fitness trainer, it's a great time for me to go try
That's why
marketing.
I've been waking up so late this week.
Right?
I'm like, why am I sleeping till 9 o'clock?
Well, it's springing ahead, so you're getting ready to spring your clocks ahead. It's fall back, spring forward. So get ready. And next week is a new week. And spring can be tough, because you lose an hour.
Yep.
No, so spring is a little bit tougher for me. It's an exciting time.
And if you haven't been working out, now you feel like you're behind because you didn't start at the beginning of the year.
Nah, don't let that get you down. You got to just get going. But you're right. I'm glad you said that because it is one of my favorite times to market. This is when I start marketing and people are ready and they're ambitious. They're motivated and excited. Spring is an exciting time of year. If you think about it, you're always a little pep in your step, getting rid of the big winter coats. Look, I don't have a hat on. I wear a hat all the time. Oh my gosh. So I'm not wearing a hat today. It's like my first time, although it's raining. So I could have worn a ball cap.
Is it raining outside?
Kind of like it wasn't like when I got here, but it was misting earlier. I felt like when I went out for my errand, it was, and then it wasn't when I got here.
We have a lot of fog with us.
Yes, we are. Steve and I are very close to the bay. Steve and I even live actually close to each other within our town. And the bay, you could throw a stone. Maybe it's not that far. I mean, that close. But so therefore, we get so much fog. We get a lot of fog here. And it's cold, too, like windy coming off the bay. Winter tends to be 10, 20 degrees.
The Chesapeake Bay, to be specific, which is a big body of water, if you're unfamiliar with your water geography out there. But the other crazy thing, when you bring it up, it's with the bay, There's been times in the summer where it'll be raining like all over Virginia Beach. It'll be cloudy and nasty and rainy. And then you get right where we're at, and it's actually like sunny on the bay. And you can look inland and see all the dark, stormy clouds, and there's nothing but sunlight and sunshine on the bay. And it stays like that, so that we get some weird weather.
I think we get saved from things too. Like you'll notice hurricanes kind of breeze over us because of our line on the actual shore. If you look at the map, we kind of go in a little bit.
Yes.
So storms pass us. And there is a thought. Well, it's not a thought. I think I actually learned this. I think this is a fact that the ARE, which is that building on 68th Street, what does that stand for? I gotta look it up. I can't.
I have to look it up too, but it's the Edgar Cayce Library is what it is.
Right. Good. I appreciate it.
And he's a famous early 1900s predictor of things.
And scientist.
Like a modern day Nostradamus.
Right. And scientist, really, too. Don't you think he had? I think he might have had a medical degree and a science degree. He was very intelligent. But anyway, he picked that place on purpose for the reason that we just stated, that he knew that storms and tornadoes well, I don't know about tornadoes. I don't think we got tornadoes here back then. We do now, but would just breeze over us. So that speaks a lot for his reliability for some predictions, because he's been spot on with that. But I didn't have a whole actually specific topic today, because we've been kind of touching on all kinds of stuff, and it was really leaning in. We were leaning into discipline, procrastination, things like that kind of hold you back from wanting in anything. I'm always fitness and wellness related, but it holds you back in anything. Any career that you're in, or personal life, or goals, or anything. Procrastination and perfectionism is a holdback, and I've been struggling and getting better. And so sharing that with you for the last couple of weeks has really been helpful for me in my personal life, because it keeps me on point in a sense. And last week we kind of put it all together because, with I've been under a bit of stress. My son had gotten injured, so I've had to really have to be a caregiver and a nurse sort of percent, a light nurse. I shouldn't say that, but extra tasks. So you've got to document your time and get your workouts in, and sometimes it doesn't work out for me. In fact, this week I struggled. Last week I did really well on workouts, but wasn't doing very good on food. If you recall, I was drinking a lot of protein drinks to get my protein in, which kind of isn't the healthiest way to go, but sometimes you have to. And so this week I ate really pretty good. I ate because Ian's home from the hospital. Therefore, I am doing more health conscious meals. So I did very well with that. And I worked out daily at home, but I didn't go to the gym one time. Not one time. So I'm kind of bummed, because today I wanted to go because it's the CrossFit Open. And today would have been workout 26.2. So workout 2, and I can look it up real quick and tell you what it was, friends. I did look at it, and I thought about going. But it just didn't work out with schedule, and I ended up working that hour anyway. But it is 80 foot dumbbell overhead walking lunges. So 80 feet, it's not terribly long, right? 20 alternating dumbbell snatches. I like doing those. 20 pull-ups, which I can't do, so I would have done ring rows. And then repeat 80, 20, then 20 chest to bar pull-ups. So I'm not sure what my modification would have been. Maybe I'd do jumping. A lot of times the coaches will have me put a bar that's pretty low, and I stand on a box and I jump up and down. over the bar because I have to get it to my chest. So I want people to know there's always modifications for all of this stuff. And then walking lunges again, 20 alternating dumbbell snatches stays the same. And then 20 muscle ups, which is a lot of muscle ups, Steve. If you don't know what a muscle up is, people, that's where you go all the way up on the bar. So you see where they're going. They went pull up, right? Chin, then chest, and then muscle ups are where you're all the way to where your hip crease is. So to get there is very difficult, and 20 is a lot. So I think of our friends Tammy and Marshall.
Yeah, that's a hard one. I wonder what their feedback is on that.
I can't wait to talk to them. I'm only gonna.
That workout sounds terrible, to be honest.
It does, yeah.
I mean, not only just, and I say that with all due respect. Well, one, it's just, I think a lot of people just can't do that workout. Obviously. At the end of the day. Yeah, it's not easy to do an overhead dumbbell walking lunge.
Steve, to do 20 pull-ups. Oh my God.
Yeah, and then all that. I mean, so I think from the get-go, and that's kind of my criticism of these CrossFit games in the past, is you always get to the point, as usually the second workout, where there's just a bunch of the stuff listed you just can't do, and you got to do the scales and modifications, and there you go. Your CrossFit dreams and hopes are shattered right there at that moment. You're not going to be competing in any kind of regionals or whatever. I think they should just make that still a little bit more user-friendly to the participant. Now, that's me probably being a crybaby, and I get it. You need to challenge your things, and you need to challenge yourself on things that you cannot do, and suck it up, tough guy, try to do one, whatever. But not only is it a bunch of stuff that a lot of people can't do, it's a shoulder reckoner. Like by the time you get to that, by the time you even get to the muscle ups, are you going to throw your shoulders completely out of socket at that point? I mean, at some point, enough's enough.
Enough is enough. I was just listening to that song by Post Malone on the way here. You're right, and it does get insane, and I think that's why people don't walk from CrossFit. But here's how I'm going to say what I'm going to say to that. The modifications are usually really fun. So, like I said, for me, I can't do 20 pull-ups.
Yeah,
and a lot of people can.
Are fun, but they don't count if you're trying to do,
well, you have to just be realistic. Yeah, I mean, I am the person
that far anyway, I guess.
That's trying to let people know that you need to be realistic in this life, what you can and can't do. This is not a normal workout by any means for normal people. And granted, you walk into those rooms and there are people that can do this. And actually it's got a time cap, so they're not going to get through it most likely. Right. It's got a 15er on it. But there are that exceptional, and we as CrossFitters need people to know that there are a few people that can do it, and we celebrate the hell out of that. There's usually one or two in a gym. You know what I mean? One, two, maybe three, depending on the side of your CrossFit.
Plenty of people can do that workout.
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely, for sure. But time cap wise, it's almost impossible. That's what I mean. There's not.
What is the time cap on all that?
15.
Oh yeah.
15 minutes. Yeah, and you've got 80. Even 20 pull-ups. Even the best athlete might have to take a break. Mm-hmm. So you're killing time. 20 minutes goes fast when you're doing 80 dumbbell over. I can't really picture what 80 feet is though. So that's a lot of it, because some people can walk pretty fast.
25 yards. So that's
no, I mean vision wise, looking. I can't get it in my head. I don't.
If you have an average sized backyard, I would say it's the length of that.
Wow, so it's not that far at all.
So I would say it's from.
So people will get through
from your house. I would say it is exactly so if we're standing at the exact corner where the street sign is, I at your house, Karen?
Yeah.
And then if you were to walk to the far or to do that to the far side of your driveway, I would say that's pretty close.
Oh. Well, then I'd have to retract what I just said. There are people that will.
Or from here.
Well, wait, 20 muscle ups takes a long time.
From here to, like the corner where the ARE is from the bottom of my driveway would be just to the corner. That's probably about 30 yards. So a little bit less than that.
Okay. Yeah. Once I got a visual on it. Yeah. I mean, but anyway, well, I'm not going to waste any more time on that. I just wanted to, I wanted to go this morning and participate in my version of what that would be, which is kind of hilarious. I get kicked out right away because I'm doing ring rows for pull-ups. You could do a banded pull-up. People could do that, but it takes time to get in and out of the band. That's the thing.
Right.
With these, but so I didn't have a whole bunch to talk about. So what I did was, and I've been so busy, like I almost was like, should I just take a week off? And I really got to get some guests lined up. I've got a few, but they're coming later in March, obviously. And I thought, all right, well, I've got a pile. These are all my podcasts. And I thought I'll just open up to whatever. And then Steve was like, I'll ask you questions. And I was like, that's brilliant. So shoot. What would you like to talk about today?
Want me to throw me
right there? Throw me some questions. Ask me anything.
What was the first sport that you played?
I guess swimming. I would have said field hockey. That's what comes to mind first.
Well, so tell me about your swimming and how you got into field hockey.
Okay.
What made you get into swimming? How did you like it? And then same thing basically with the field hockey and just
okay, cool. I got into swimming because we belonged to a pool, like a swim club. Right. I grew up in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, which is it's a pretty nice town. And I joke around because I'm like, well, I'm from the poor side. And I got put in my place when this older gentleman, I was pretty young and he was about my age now or maybe older. He goes, kid, there ain't no poor side of Cherry Hill. Okay. Get it right. And I was like, yes, sir. Because I realized it was affluent. There was just a lot of real big wealth. So if you were middle class, you felt like you were poor, but I was nowhere near it. My father provided very, very well for my brother and I and my mom, and we lived in a nice suburbia of Philly.
Okay, so you're more Philly suburbia.
Oh, than very much. Okay. Most fathers worked in Philly.
Okay,
as a matter of fact. So I belong to a swim club, so that ought to tell you right there. Right. There's swim clubs, like each little neighborhood has its own club.
Yeah, you got a neighborhood pool.
And then we all go against each other in competition. So I was always into athletics. Like Bernie Perrant was the goalie of the Philadelphia Flyers back then. We're talking late 70s. And he lived across the street from us. But I have to tell you that hockey players weren't making a lot of money. So it's not like well, you probably know sports in general. You know, there was a time where they weren't. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
You know, they were normal guys. And then hockey got more and more popular. And I'm not saying that they don't make money. They didn't even back then, because Bernie left our neighborhood because he became pretty darn successful and was moving up. They were paying him more. The Flyers were paying him more and more. But he would play football with us in the street. Then the guy that moved into the house, and he specifically moved into that house because he was a huge Flyers fan and wanted to live in the house that Bernie Perrant used to get a little buzz on and be like, Bernie Perrant pissed in my toilet. Excuse my mouth. But that's how much of, Philly fans, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, or hockey, they are devoted fans. They will buy houses just because somebody lived there. And anyway, so it's a kind of a sports street. Like we had a lot of kids on the street and we played a lot of sports all the time. So I was really into it. And we were outdoors a lot. And then I got into swimming because I belonged to the swim club. And that's what that was the sport. So I was like, all right, pick me, I'm going. So I was pretty good at it too, even as a little kid. And then the only thing I do want to talk about swimming about was I was good at butterfly too, which is one that's harder to do. So you get more opportunities when you're good at something that a lot of people aren't. And so I got to do the IM, that's the individual medley where it's butterback breast free. So I got to do a lot of fun races and relays and stuff like that. So I was introduced to fitness sports pretty then. I was pretty small, you know. And then field hockey came in junior high and I loved it. The reason why, I want to talk about swimming though for a hot second. So I quit swimming and my mom goes, "Why are you quitting?" And I go, "Because I ain't winning no more." And it didn't take long, you know, that I really liked, I'd hang all my ribbons up in my room and the blue ones were the winners. And second was red, I'm pretty sure. And then green. And I don't remember what fourth place was, but we'd get ribbons for fourth place up. And I loved my ribbons I just started getting beat and I didn't like it. And I wanted to go out a winner. I wasn't angry. I wasn't mad. I'd like to note that because I was pretty young, that was already occurring in my personality.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I was competitive right. And I was like, strategic in a sense and capable of being jealous or, you know, oh, who's this girl coming in and beating me? I'm quitting. I don't think I was a quitter. I just went somewhere else and I wanted to be remembered as the little tiny
I always
winner.
Remember getting like the white ribbons, which was, I think, third place for us or whatever. And I was like, what do I have to do to get that blue ribbon? Which I think was the first place.
Which is cool.
And the red one was the second place.
Yeah, I had blue and red. I know blue and red. Blue was first and red was second. And I didn't mind being second. Like you'll hear a lot of people be like, second is losing. I didn't feel like that. Second was okay. You know, it's all right if somebody comes in there and whoops your butt here and there. And actually, I always, especially in team sports, you're like, oh, cool. That girl's good. I'm going to team up with her. You know, I liked team sports because then you're on this front. You know, I did well with that. I liked team sports, which was more obviously field hockey. And I was always just into sports. I was a tomboy for sure, but a girl's girl. I hung out with all girls and our street was really cool because there was a lot of us and a lot of boys too, but they would pretty much break up except when we were playing games like football or they needed somebody, they'd grab one of us and I would get picked a lot. And
so you could just like after school, because that's the same thing that we did. Like we would get out of school at a young age, you know, talking elementary, junior high, and even the high school to some extent. And basically just go outside and there's other kids roaming around outside. And next thing you know, everyone's getting together playing stickball or football or soccer or whatever it is.
Right? Sure. Yeah. And that's why, like, even I say I was a girl's girl. I liked hanging out with girls, but I liked sport. So sometimes they wouldn't have enough boys on a team. They'd need somebody. So I'd get pulled. We were always kind of close by. And yeah, it was so fun. Like I just saw, I was listening to something and it was talking about the different generations. And I'll be 60 this year. So I'm Gen X. And I'm not a boomer. I just barely, you know, I'm 66. Gen X is 65 to something years, like 1965. And anyway, we were the largest population of latchkey children. So they were talking about the different personalities of each generation. And because we were latchkey kids, they didn't focus on it like, oh, poor kids. It wasn't like that. It's just a lot of us were. I definitely was. And my mom went back to work when me and my brother went to school. She couldn't wait, you know, and she did usually medical jobs. So she would be home fairly soon after school. But our house was the munchy house. She was good at buying snacks and we'd make sure we were out of there before she got home because she was mean as a snake. woohoo, that lady. But God rest her soul. But she went back to work, and most of us didn't, we were latchkey kids. And so we were all expected to play outside. Our parents didn't want us in the houses. You know what I mean? My mom was like, you're not allowed in there, and neither is anybody else. And most people were like that, because what did kids do? They tear up the house and eat all the snacks.
Right.
So all of us mostly had to play outside. But yeah, it was just a great time growing up. But it also whatever we'll say I was listening to a podcast, for the lack of better words, whatever they were talking about was how we were latchkey kids. We have we have a really good work ethic. Gen X tends to, just because you had to, we were more in survival mode. I wish I could remember some of the examples it was talking about, but it was really cool. But yes, there was a lot of us out there playing. And then when we go into my past with addiction and stuff like that, addiction took over at a certain point here. And even though I had a really happy childhood, and I didn't, the inside of the house was a little bit of a struggle, and I feel a lot more freer talking about it. I didn't like talking about it when my parents were still alive, because I really didn't want it to sound like I was putting them down. We are in a different world now, and things were different back then. I'm almost 60 years old. It's a long time ago. And anybody my age will agree. And I'm sure you agree. It was different. Times were different. I just got into drugs and alcohol and really enjoyed it. And my parents didn't approve of that, which is legit. And, I was what is called, what did they used to call us? Incorrigible. Incorrigible meant that you couldn't be handled. You were like a feral cat. And they put a name on it. And it wasn't like I was the only one, but my parents were very, very, very strict. And I won't go into details, but it wasn't pleasant. It was pretty strict. And anyway, I went into a group. I ended up not living there anymore, like by the courts. And so I went into foster care in my 9th grade year. I made it.
Wow. Okay.
So I was in Cherry Hill East, and I would have continued to play field hockey. And me and my girlfriend always joke, because we're like, we could have went to any college we wanted to.
But in 9th grade, I mean, you couldn't have been that bad. I mean, it's not like you're a super bad kid, right? I mean,
I wasn't a bad kid.
A lot of this just over-exaggerated.
I wasn't a bad kid at all. Yeah, I mean, I was a great kid, if you ask me. I just had a drug problem. And I had a drug problem because of the crap that was going on at home. It was a lot of stress. There was a lot of fighting. Now, people are diagnosed with mental illness. My mother had mental illness. She was legitimately diagnosed. Like, she never got diagnosed, to be honest. And if she did, I never shared it with I mean, she could live a life, but I mean, our family obviously broke apart. My mom and dad got divorced. That was back in the day where you stayed, the fathers would stay in the home. It didn't matter if it was World War III. It didn't matter. Divorce was like a no-no. I remember when divorce started happening. That's how old I am, where it was like gossiped about, like, oh, did you hear so-and-so's getting divorced?
I do
you remember our parents would be like, oh my God.
Yeah, there was some sort of a stigma to it.
There was definitely, and it was negative, and it just was different. And back then, everything was like I don't mean to go off on a tangent, but I want to use an example, because America's Next Top Model has a documentary out right now on Netflix, and it talks about how abusive that situation was. And America's Next Top Model was late 90s, and that's not even that long ago to me, but it is, because I was in my 20s, 30s. In 92, I went to Minnesota. I mean, God, but anyway, in that programming, they're all going over it now and they're like, oh my God, it's so abusive. It's so abusive. And the one guy's like, that's just how things were back then. And none of us are saying that it's right, but the world was much different. And the new generations have changed things in a positive manner. Some things are a little overchanged, if you ask me, but I'm an old lady. What do I know, right? It's a new world. And I feel like, okay, I'm just going to enjoy, I'm 60, from 60 to 85. I feel like I get to just kind of chill and do what I ever, I've already done my changing of the world stuff. So the young generation are a lot more strict with, what is considered abuse and what isn't. I mean, I come from the don't tell generation. I would tell you despicable things that happen to a lot of us. And I can only really speak for myself that I just didn't tell anyone. You just didn't talk about certain things. Does it bring mental anguish? Yes. Is there drug addiction often involved to cover up mental anguish? Yes. So it's trying to, I feel like I'm in a threshold here and I enjoy being with the younger generation and even being able to participate in something like this, like a podcast where you get to talk about, because I was from the do not talk generation. So it is nice to be able to speak freely now. You can speak much more freely, but then in a sense, I can't too. So it's a different, I think the world is trying to figure things out right now with what is considered abusive, what is respectful, what isn't. We're really trying to figure things out. Like the women did a really good job with the don't tell. I'm stuck on that. What am I talking about? I mean, the whole big thing where the women were just say no, or what was it? Oh my God, I feel like an idiot right now. So,
well, just say no is the drugs thing.
No, the big movement, the women's movement that we just had. Oh my God, I feel like an idiot. Here
I don't know about the women's movement.
You would if I said it, because I used to joke about it. I was like, how come that never happened to me?
I am woman, hear me roar.
No. But I'm going to skate over this because I know there's a lot of women listening going, oh my God, Sizzle, come on now. But I like how the young women are, speaking up and expecting, if a woman says no to a man, that means no. And if he doesn't behave, she will tell. And we didn't. We were so somehow I got off on a tangent. Well, I brought up the next top model thing because a lot of the younger women are watching it and they're going, oh my gosh. And I'm like, that's how things were. Things were acceptable. It's very different, and I like it in a sense. And then in a sense, it's kind of makes me uncomfortable. So I keep my mouth shut a lot. But so to move on with me, then I kept in sports as soon as I got out of where I was, I was an adult when I can't say freedom again, but we didn't really I was in a private sleepover school, should we say, for years in Philly. And we did more exercise, fitness. We didn't have team sports. So that's really how I got into the fitness exercise part of things, where you're just by yourself lifting weights, doing like, what is this? Like Rachel McClish came on the scene in the 80s and she was the first female bodybuilder. And I was like, wow, that looks cool. And so that's how I got into fitness. And then the aerobics boom. I graduated high school and the aerobics boom was going. And I will say this, I was in private sleepover school until my senior year. And my father was like, I need you to come home so you have Cherry Hill East on your diploma. I need you to have a high school diploma, not from some alternative
Right.
gig. And I was like, cool. All right. So I came home and I didn't make it very long, but a very good friend of mine and her mom, I moved in with them and I finished out my senior year, but I got into fitness right away because the girl, like all of us were getting jobs. Everybody did, even though I was in an affluent town. Even those kids got jobs. Everybody did. We all worked at different places, and one of my girlfriends was working in a gym, and it just, there was no turning back. I found fitness. I loved it for the endorphin reason. I was somebody that enjoyed recreational drugs and partying, and there was a certain party to the gym back then. Like we would go to the gym in Jersey, like you hear gym GTL, gym tan laundry. And then you'd go out and party and meet your friends. Like it was normal. I remembered like smoking a cigarette and flicking my cigarette walking into the gym. I mean, it was just, there was a social part to it. There was, at least where I'm from, that's how it was. So I just continued on that. But then when I did go to college, I went for engineering. I planned on keeping fitness as just, a side gig or something. I bartended, I waitressed, I was in good shape. So back then, who got hired for jobs? Pretty young girls, would do all the waitresses and bartending. And I joke with Ian, I'm like, man, it's a new world because now it's all young guys, like down at the ocean front and stuff. Like you go into bars and restaurants, there's lots of young men working. And I thought, wow, you should do that because that's great money to be made, and especially this town because we're tourism.
I miss bartending myself.
I know. I did it nonstop from the time I started waitressing younger than, because I remember you could serve beer, but you couldn't be behind the bar. And then I did it as a second job my entire life until I was 41 is when I quit. And I wouldn't have. I got into a relationship and Ian needed me, and it just, I didn't do it anymore. I had my regular job, my fitness job. And then, really, I did a little part-time bartending when Ian was a little baby. But that kind of blew that out. Once you have kids, you got to be home and a lot more. So, but I agree with you. Bartending was fun. It was great money. And, but like I said, fitness has been my entire life. And when I heard Arnold get interviewed and he was like, the young guy's like, so why do you go to the gym every day? And he was like, it's kind of all I know. It's just what I do. I'll do it until I'm dead. It has nothing to do if I'm a star or not.
How old were you when you first lived by yourself?
Oh, totally by myself?
Yeah.
17. I was lucky enough to graduate young because my birthday is August 16th. So when my mom...
So you were 17 and you lived by yourself?
Yeah, like I moved out because remember...
do you think that propelled you into party mode a little bit more?
Well, I had more responsibility because I had to pay rent. No, we partied no matter what. Yeah. There was no more or less. It was more all the time. Right. Like and I hate to say this, I definitely took it to a different level. But it wasn't like I was the only one. Like I hung out with, and it was fairly normal until it didn't get normal. Mm-hmm. Like I think people think of people that have addictions or problems that it's like Skid Row or like all like stigmatized to like only lowlifes or whatever, and that is so not true.
It's across the.
It's just
doctors, it's lawyers,
it's everybody,
everyone you can think of,
and it sneaks up to anyone, and it can be like I was totally normal like everybody else, like in a normal situation in the 80s, which was high voltage partying. I mean, I have to say that. And unless it was just my group.
Well,
I think
even my mom,
everywhere.
in a more subdued way, my mom was just a pill popper.
And then you just cross
and she'd just sit there and chill and drink her wine and be quiet. But I mean,
my mom
she was
too.
popping volumes left and right.
Yeah, that's what they gave. You remember the Rolling Stones song, Mother's Little Helper? My mom had so many pills that me and my brother would go through them. And God, this is, I don't like saying this, but I did it. Like we would sell some of them at school.
Yeah, of course.
We were just talking about this. The lady was dropping off from Centera. A lady my age was dropping off some medicine for Ian. And we were talking about that, like just how, like, thank God we didn't have cameras and all kinds of things like they have now, because we would have looked like inappropriate people, but we really aren't. We're really nice. We grew up to be very nice, responsible adults. It's just the 80s does have a reputation for being a little bit drug fueled, and it was for sure. And I hung out with really normal people, but I kind of would veer off to, should we say, the left or the right, go off on my own, and got a little bit deeper into drugs. And I was able to hide it, but then I wasn't. And because of my parents, the situation with my parents, going into foster care, I went to a school called The Bridge in Philadelphia. And my dream has always been to open something like it because it worked. And there was boys in there and there was girls. And obviously we were split up. But there was like 150 of us. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe 100, but it was a lot. There's a lot of us. And it was a very healthy environment. I was safe. I was straight. I couldn't use drugs when you were in there. There was 4 rules. You couldn't have drugs. You couldn't sexually act out. You couldn't lie, cheat, or steal. And you couldn't, and maybe there was 4 norms, they called them, and the lie or steal, sexually act out or use. So there was 4. And out of all those kids, which is a very rebellious age, pretty much most of us abided by it. I did. I definitely did. And you know why? Because they gave us respect. They gave us self-respect, even as children, and a lot of times children are just told what to do, know why, know this or that. It was really a formula that worked. They gave us therapy. They schooled us, and the state paid for it. Actually, it was private too, because my Nana, who was a school teacher in New Jersey, so we know she didn't make a lot of money. She funded what, wouldn't, I'm sure they had, anyway, my Nana funded that. And so because of that program, I still have friends from there that I talk to almost on the daily because of Facebook, that some of us have battled addiction through our lives, and we've lost a few, obviously, as you would imagine. Sadly, we've lost a lot of our peers, but there's quite a few of us that are still running, still going, and still talk almost on the daily, I have to say. And you can only imagine how much I cherish those friends. But because of that education that I was given in my 20s, if my addiction got too far, I knew what to do. I knew to go get help. I knew there was help. I think a lot of people aren't aware that there is help, and it's and you can get it, and nobody's gonna what's that word, stigmatize you or make you feel bad. Or the people that are in the industry of getting people sober are caring, loving people. That's why they're there. So you never have to feel embarrassed or ashamed or anything. So I knew that from the very beginning of childhood, that I loved partying, but if it got out of control, I was going to have to call the doctor of some sort. And I did. I had to several times through my 20s. I try and get sober, and then I get back into it again. And finally, and most of my problem, Steve, was alcohol. Because alcohol fueled everything else. Like if I was drinking, then I wanted drugs. I knew if I got rid of the drinking, the drugs would go away. And so that's why I have no judgment on anyone. I can't. If you saw the skeletons in my closet, you crack up laughing. It gives me the freedom of being able to go into realms with homeless people, anybody with addiction, anybody, anywhere. I have no ability to judge them because of who I am. So I actually, now that I'm clean and sober and I see other people getting sober, I'm like, dude, now you have, you can really help others. They'll trust you because they know you've been there, and you have the ability to you can't judge anymore. It'll be gone. You'll think of yourself. If you start judging somebody else, you'll be like, yeah, well, I remember when I did that, So I'm grateful. And now I get to go out and help others. I'm not really actively doing that right now, except that I do have a sober coaching program, and I don't like calling it that. I didn't mean to say that. It's a sobriety and fitness program, because some people that join that program aren't even alcoholics. Mm-hmm. They just want to get rid of alcohol. And my job is to, because they maybe for macros, maybe for weight loss.
If anyone's out there listening, they should know that if they're having issues that you're talking about right now, they should know that this is a program that they can come to, air their grievances. Or
God, I hope so, because that's my ultimate, is to let people feel comfortable and safe, to know that they're not going to be judged, they're not going to be bullied or made fun of or anything like that. This is a super safe place, because when people say that to me, and I've only had it been told since I've started this podcast, because that's an opportunity when people say to me, I always felt really safe around you, so I knew I could come on your show. And I was like, damn, that's such a compliment. Like, I had never heard that before. But I have stayed away from people that I didn't feel safe with. And that's not like physical. Like, I felt like they were gonna hurt my feelings, like I'm sensitive. So yeah, I like that people knew that, like, you can be around Sizzle. She's nice. She's safe. She's not gonna, you can tell her your grievances, you can tell her about anything, and she can't even judge you. Go have at it. So I do love that. And about my job, so I really like it when I can go into the trenches, like go into the homeless shelters and do stuff like that. I'm not doing that right now just because of time, but that's going to end pretty soon. Like, I'll be able to get back there doing that kind of work. I really want to start working for Samaritan House. Samaritan House has a whole human trafficking division where, this stuff with human trafficking is a problemo, and it's a huge in our own city. And it's so undercover and so insidious that we don't know about it. And, but it's been going on forever. And when I found out that Virginia Beach was one of the biggest ones, I thought, wow. And it's really because of our locale. It's because of where we're located in from Washington and all the 95, and because of all the major.
We're right in the middle of Florida.
Yeah, we've got a really good pipeline
in New York
where they can move people far away quickly too. And so that's why it's such an epidemic here in this particular area. It's
very scary too, especially right down the street from us, kind of, because we are right on the corridor of the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel, and all the interstates leaving the area.
Samaritan
Northampton Boulevard has all those seedy hotels that have been notorious for.
I like to do door dashing once in a while. And when I get called to those hotels,
sketchy.
Yeah, I always am like, oh man, I hope I bust a human trafficking ring.
Right.
I'm going in with my dash sandwich, ready to take them down. I love door dashing. I actually got to do it last week, and I only did two little runs because I'm really busy. But folks, that is I'm a single mom, so I've been the queen of hustle my whole life. I've had to, and that is the best job, where if you can get your steps in. I had a girlfriend that did it because she wanted steps. She didn't even need money. Isn't that genius? It's
a brilliant idea for a podcast, to be honest, is a show dedicated to those who deliver, that they can listen to while they're delivering.
Yeah. And the steps they get in, I always have high step count. I did it. I had to buy a new car last year and I wasn't prepared for it. And I said to the salesman, I go, I'm a fitness trainer. How am I going to afford this? He goes, you're going to DoorDash. And I was like, I am? He goes, yeah. And I was like, okay, cool. And I took him for real. And I started DoorDashing, because when you buy a new car in 2025, we're talking that is $600 more a month all of a sudden on your budget, right? And fitness train, I'm just not rolling in the dough.
I saw a girl or a lady who's a mom, like while she was, her kid got out of school early. It's probably just a younger kid who's in kindergarten or, preschool or something like that. So she only had like 2 to 3 hours to kill in the morning until she went to get her kid. But I think she delivers for like Walmart specifically.
Yeah.
Like you can go sign up just to be a Walmart deliverer, and you sit there in the parking lot, you wait for orders to come in. And she did 3.5 hours and made like $90.
Well,
delivered.
There's the Shipped. I think it's called Shipped. Somebody talked to me about that. I was going to look into it, but
just for pocket change alone, making $90 if you have nothing else going on. I mean that pays bills for you.
Totally. And it puts, like, we're a wellness program. Well, what about the steps you're putting in, right? Like, I loved that my girlfriend did that. I did a post on that because I was like, that is genius. But also for moms to get out of your house. This is when I started DoorDashing. I actually had to, because last year I bought the new car, right? So he said, you're going to have to do that. And I did it. I did it for from January until September. And then I had to build all my systems, and I haven't been since. I just went last weekend, but I was caregiving and I was really, really busy. And what the DoorDash would do for me was get me out of the house. I'd turn on the tunes. I'd have my dog. It was like a break, literally. It's not hard. It's fun. The people are nice. I really recommend it to people, especially if you are struggling financially. There's other ways to make a little more money, but it is about how the freedom of being able to sign on and sign off really fast. There's no commitment. Like, I thought about going back to the bars, and there is a bar that I could work in that I'm actually not too old to work in. They would hire me.
Which one's that?
I was thinking Froggy's. Right. I would go to Froggy's. They're always looking for help. And that's a great bar, and they have great music there. But here's my problem, peeps. I am a fitness trainer. I have a job at 5 a.m. This weekend. Actually, tomorrow. Tomorrow's Saturday. Now, granted, I don't often have that, but during the week, I have 5 a.m., 6 a.m.s. And I go to bed really early. And if you're going to work in a bar, they need night shift. And I just am not physically, age-wise, able to do it that way. And granted, they do want younger folks in there for that reason, younger men and women. It used to be back in the day, mostly young women. They would go against you guys. You would try and get a job. So that's cool that you got to bartend, because you were competing against all these women, right? They call it, sometimes that would happen to you guys. We are always saying you guys get all the jobs, but when it comes to waitressing and bartending, women used to rule that game, and now men are in there. And I didn't mean to get off on DoorDash either, except that it is great for mental. That's what I would use it for, to get out of the house, because I even work at home too. And I couldn't really afford to just be driving around aimlessly. So I kept DoorDashing. And so I'm doing that again. I'm going to try and see if I can I know we're not supposed to, my generation, we're never supposed to talk about how much we made, but you know how much I made last year in DoorDash? $3,000.
Oh, wow. Nice.
That's not bad. Now granted, I know some people are like, well, that's nothing if you really need a part-time job. But $3,000 to go get my head together because I was kind of feeling overworked or overwhelmed. It's a good trade-off. So I'll probably keep doing. Like I said, I don't know if I told you, I broke the seal. I did 2 deliveries on Saturday, and I made $17 in 40 minutes. And I signed off. That's what's so great about DoorDash. You just do 1 or 2 and then you're done. But I always think, are people going to think I'm unprofessional or whatever? Who cares? I used to care what people think. I don't care anymore. That's another thing that
it's just you're lost in the DoorDash conundrum of the universe. No one even knows, Right.
Like, well, I mean, like, I don't know. But anyway, so ask me another question.
Well, we are short on time here.
So I didn't even.
Yeah, we're 55 minutes deep right now.
Oh my goodness! So that's it. So that we really don't need to go any more
Well, we'll do part 2 next week. I got plenty more to ask you.
Oh, you do? Just give me a hint.
Well, I was going to go beyond what you did as a kid in sports and talk about role models and stuff like that.
Okay, cool.
But
yeah, that would be a good one. Who were my role models?
The kid story with the sports when it's everything. So there you go.
And I like the role models thing though.
All you had to do is open up one little can and then all the worms pop up.
Well, that's why I knew. I was so grateful because I was like, God, I don't know what I'm gonna say today. And you're like, I'll ask you a few questions. And sure enough. Yeah.
But we'll do part 2 next week. How about that?
Okay. Or we might be having a guest.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We might. I'm not really sure. But I hope everybody has a fantastic day. Thanks for letting me drone on about my childhood. That was good memories, actually.
All right, guys. Have a good weekend. We'll be back next Friday.
I can't believe it was 55 minutes. That's hilarious. I feel kind of silly. I wanted to do like a 30-minute-er. What?